back on another exciting episode of Starfleet Boy, where we have a casual and informal conversation about Star Trek. Today we're talking about Star Trek, the original series, Metamorphosis. And Ian, did I not send you the link?
Oh yeah, Ian ain't here.
Oh, jeez. Hold on, let me see if I have... Oh my gosh. Sorry, Ian. I totally thought I sent this. I must have imagined it. I apologize. It is here. It is in your... It is in your inbox. That's so embarrassing. I was like, "Where's Ian? He's not usually late."
Did you twat the tweet?
No, and I haven't tweeted the tweet. Everybody, welcome Marcelo to.
Have you done anything? What the hell? What's going on?
So, I had a great night last night, and so I slept it. No, actually, I got up early and did chores. So I'm probably a little, wonky.
Wired.
No, I only had 1 cup of coffee. I'm having kombucha right now, which is to restore your.
Well, that's your problem. You need more coffee.
Hi, Jace.
Hello, Jace. Hello, Shishan girl. Cake. Oh, sorry, Cake is eternal. And hello, get that man a drink.
Cake is eternal.
Also, TCC, you have the link. Come on aboard. And hello, Jace. Let's see here. I sure hope the plants grow normally and stuff after the companion loses her powers. We'll have to talk about the companion. Who wants to do the episode summary?
Oof. Who are you going to pick?
If no one volunteers,
everybody jumped out at once.
I'll do it. I'll
do it because that way I can send out the tweets. Father, it's gonna be a good one. I have a feeling. I have a lot of questions about this episode. By the way.
So, our episode opens with the three big TOS stars: Captain Kirk, Mr. Spock, Dr. McCoy, hauling a Federation commissioner. What's her name? Hedford, right? Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. That's right. I think so.
But anyways, they're yanked off.
Hey, Ian, sorry about that.
Commissioner Nancy Hedford.
So their shuttlecraft.
Eleanor Donahue.
Gotta turn my green screen off. I'm freezing up. So their shuttlecraft is yanked off course, and they go to this other planet where they find this dude, Cochrane, who's hanging out there alone. It turns out he is none other than Zefram Cochrane, the inventor of warp drive, who at old age, up in his 80s, decided to leave Earth and go off into space on a warp drive ship and disappeared. So it turns out he's been living on this planet with this entity. It's the same thing that yanked their shuttle off course. And it has restored his body and I guess made him younger because he doesn't look how he looks in First Contact. But this thing is in love with him. And it doesn't want him to leave. It wants to keep him there.
The jelly bean candy corn.
Yeah. So the problem, though, is that this commissioner that they have is about to die because she's been infected by some virus, and they really have to get her back. But this entity merges with her the moment right before she would have died, and it not only keeps her alive, but it's allowed to inhabit this body. And then Zefram Cochrane is like, "Oh yeah, well, I'm actually in love with this thing, and it's in love with me, and we're just going to be this happy couple. And y'all go get in your shuttlecraft and go back to your Enterprise." And that's the end of the episode.
It's also the conclusion to the Zefram Cochrane arc.
Or is it?
It's also
this episode,
Sub Rosa prototype, I feel like, as well.
Yeah, well, this episode he's actually from Alpha Centauri as well. He's not from Earth.
Well, no, I don't think I paid attention to that because I heard that too. They say he's of Alpha Centauri. So my headcanon is that he ended up on Alpha Centauri and made himself an Alpha Centaurian. He adopted their culture and civilization and stuff like that. But he could have still been from Earth. And even McCoy says he's fully human at one point. So it's possible that he followed a colony that went to something like that.
Yeah, I just assumed that was the first Earth colony.
Yeah, and it's only 4 light years from Earth, right? That's the one, Alpha Centauri.
Yeah,
it's
the closest star to.
So that's the one they would be able to get to very quickly.
No, in the old days, though, there were.
That's what I
think
the intention originally was that he's born and raised on Alpha Centauri.
There
probably,
were
but
some
you can
novels that had
headcanon
him
it.
as an alien in the old days.
Yeah.
Where like he invented warp drive and then came to our solar system like that.
Oh, that's cool.
Like he brought
where did I read that
drives
in?
to humans.
Before 1996, I read it in something. Maybe it was Worlds of the Federation, but like the idea was that there were people in the Alpha Centauri system, and those are the people we made first contact with, and not instead of Vulcans.
Ah.
But it's a lot cooler with Vulcan. Also, like the Bonaventure used to be the first warp ship from the animated series instead of the Phoenix. But it's cooler. It's a lot cooler with it being the Vulcans in First Contact. So I'm glad that's the established continuity now.
Oh, I just tweeted and then I just saw your one.
Tweedledee. I know I'm so slow. Starfleet Boy needs another cup of coffee, but he's fine. So what did you all think of the episode?
It's a love story. It's a love story, plain and simple. It's a good episode. I like it. I admit I welled up. I watched it twice, and in the same spot, I welled up every time. But
what part is that?
It's the realization. I think it's the realization of Zefram Cochrane that he really does love the companion, and just because she's now entered a human body and everything, that it's there. The companion understands what love is. Cochrane realizes that he's not disgusted by her and everything else, that he actually truly does love her, and it's a true love story, and that's for me. I think it's a really good story on that level.
By the way, Ian, meet Marcelo. He's been on Starfleet. He had his Starfleet Boy debut on Starfleet Boy After Dark. And today is his Star Trek The Original Series discussion debut, the standard Starfleet Boy debut. Marcelo, what do you think of this episode? You saw it for this is your first time seeing it ever, right?
Yeah, I thought it was really good. The one thing that I couldn't get over at the beginning, I couldn't get over of how big the shuttlecraft Galileo was, because I'm used to smaller shuttlecrafts, and I didn't understand why the blast shield was down in the shuttlecraft. And like when they pulled the blast shield up, they have like 4 windows. I'm like, why not just have one big giant window? Like, how can they fly in space with their shuttlecraft shield down? Like, I don't like that. Didn't make sense to me. But I thought it was good. I thought it was really good. I like the love story between the companion and Zefram Cochrane, and I almost welled up there at the end too. I thought it was good.
Well, what about you, Robbie?
I remember enjoying it more when I first watched it, and after I watched it today, I felt kind of undecided about it, because it wasn't bad, and I feel it was quite sweet, and quite simple, and it kind of reminded me of Encounter at Farpoint just a wee bit with an alien being free, and about the shuttle, that was something I noted down. I just appreciated the shuttle. I really liked the interior a lot. It looked very kind of abstract, and I like the green, and the kind of the spherical kind of scanner. I thought it looked very cool, and I hope they can make something similar for Strange New Worlds, very wacky.
I like that Captain Kirk was in the shuttle this time, because he's not often. I think this is like the first time I can remember him being in there, and he was like piloting, and he was really cool, and I just like kind of liked all that.
He was in the shuttle in the menagerie.
Menagerie, yeah.
Oh, was he?
Yeah,
this was cooler. Okay, it's not often. I feel like there's more episodes.
Yeah, when Spock takes over the Enterprise, he and Jose, they go on the shuttle, and that's why they turn back, because they've gone past the point of no return for the shuttle to get back to the starbase. So Spock goes back and picks up Kirk.
That's right. But this was cooler with all the flashing lights. It was weird that the doctor character, the commissioner character, it was just being kind of like, in the beginning she was. It wasn't clear to me that she was dying. I guess like that didn't like make sense. It sounded like she was just more annoyed or whatever.
One shot where she's like,
Well, that was later, right? But on the shuttle,
no, I
she
know,
just
but it was
seems-
such a bizarre shot.
I
It was
guess
almost like a
because had
still
they-
picture.
Yeah, that's true. I guess had they made it to the Enterprise, they would have cured her. So the fact that they didn't make it on time is why she was dying. So that makes sense now that I think about it. What did you guys think of her before she merged with the companion as a character? Oh, and Ruben, sorry, I meant to ask you and Father, what did you guys think of the episode overall? First.
I'm with Cake is Eternal, leaning towards Stockholm Syndrome. It was a very strange episode. I liked it, and I do feel like, number one, I think Cochrane is such a wooden actor throughout the whole thing that I just never connected with him. And I also felt that I got the point of the episode very early and very quick.
Mm.
And so there was a point towards the end where I'm like, all right, yeah, let's go. Like, I feel like this episode really needed a B plot of what's happening on the Enterprise more to fill in.
Okay, because they had a little bit with the search.
Yeah,
thing,
and like the whole like him, I can't have sex with giant jelly bean creature. Oh, it's in a hot woman body now. Oh wait, hold on. Like it's just like okay, I guess like.
I did cringe a little bit when he first sees her and he's like, "You're like a," what does he say? Like you're like food after like a, what does he say to Commissioner Hedford? And then he says, "Oh, all of you are like
food to a dying man or
yeah,
something like
something
that.
like it's like-
Food to a starving man or
Man
something like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
But then he does say all of you are, so I kind
Yeah.
of forgive that line.
The thing is that whenever I see him, I just think of him as Pat Garrett because he played Pat Garrett in Chisholm with John Wayne, and I saw Chisholm before I saw this.
So
So
much better than that.
yeah.
Funny
So
that speaking of John Wayne, we had John Wayne's grandson on Starfleet Boy After Dark last night.
really,
Yeah, it was cool.
Oh, wow.
AKA the guy in the Mandalorian suit.
Yeah, aka his name is Brendan Wayne. So check
One
him
of the
out.
guys in the suit.
Yeah, one of the guys. Yeah,
Well,
Brendan
one of
Wayne.
two.
Check him out because Pedro Pascal is also in the suit.
There's that dude who does like the stunt work.
Oh, and yeah. Although he's
Um,
credited as doing stunts, Brendan Wayne also. So interesting.
Well,
Very
he does
cool
like
person.
does like the actiony like fight combat stuff. I think.
I agree.
isn't-
Get that man a drink. I agree.
But isn't Brendan Wayne like the gun expert and the other gentleman is the martial arts expert, or is it the other way around?
We'll have to ask
I
him
think
next
that's
time.
the way it is.
But yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, I think you're right about that.
Father, what did you think of this episode? Save you for last year.
I kind of agree with Ruben. This isn't a bad episode. It's not terrible.
Right.
But I don't really love it. I think it's missing something, and I think that was a good suggestion. Like maybe like a B story on the Enterprise, but that's more like a like Next Generation, Deep Space Nine style
Right,
thing.
right. It
The
wasn't
original
common at the
series
time.
didn't. Original series tended to be a lot more focused, but it's definitely missing something. And I think with like the Commissioner Hedford, it's weird how they handle her character because like we never really see her be like good at her job. She's just kind of like annoyed the whole time, and then we find out like, oh, she's actually dying, and maybe they should have introduced her character like on her deathbed, like Dr. McCoy, like this woman's about to die here in the shuttlecraft, or just so that we kind of connect with her on a little bit more dramatic level. But and then it's kind of weird at the end when when he's that turn that Ruben mentioned, when all of a sudden he's like, oh, I actually like am in love with this thing. Not that it's like this hot chick.
Well, for her also, I just thought it was like really weird. She was like fine. She was like acting pretty fine, and then all of a sudden when they, I guess that like anyone would maybe react that way if they were dying, if they knew they were gonna die for sure. But after they find out that like, oh, you're on this planet forever, she like goes crazy. Like she has like that panic attack and like and that was a little jarring to me. That's the part that I was just kind of like, oh,
I think they needed to give her like some dramatic element earlier in the story,
Yeah.
and that stuff it would have felt more natural.
I was thinking
Yeah.
too while watching it. I wanted to ask Valerie because he knows a lot about the production and stuff. Like, because I did notice like a lot of interesting new little gadgets. You know, Spock's weird like V-shaped wand thing. Those like orb. I forget what they call them at the beginning. Like, check your whatever,
Your sensor,
whatever.
Yeah, it was like a.
Oh, the
Gobbledygook.
scanners. The
Scanner.
Yeah,
scanners.
the
Yeah.
scanner thing, and it's like this weird orb thing. And I was like, there's some nice little production things that are going on here. Like, I
that
don't.
you forgot about.
Oh no, for sure. I haven't seen this episode in ages.
Yeah, I do like that. Although they were spinning the orb to
Yeah, he was
change
like-
yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Even the
Yeah.
proto lightsaber with the little thing on it to list to like, you know what I mean? Like it kind of had a lightsaber vibe to me.
No, but that's a prototype for the Universal Translator.
Oh,
the,
that's
like-
right. That's
yeah.
right. They use that as the-
Universal.
But Lucas was
Translator.
a young Lucas was watching that day, and he was like,
Well, he was. I think Star Trek. I think he finally credited Star Trek among his influences for Star Wars at some point.
I think Akira Kurosawa comes to him at night every night and just stares at him. And Lucas wakes up in a cold sweat. I'm sorry, Akira. I'm sorry.
It's the second time they've used that universal translator because they used it, didn't they, with the Gorm?
yeah, that's
Obviously,
right.
that's yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Did anyone else get a 50s vibe from Cochrane?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a little bit like that old school type of style.
Hold on, we need to see what Ruben is showing us here.
A pillow
a
and a
puppy?
couch.
Do you have a puppy?
No, that's Riker.
Oh, Riker looks like a puppy. Hi, Riker. Oh,
That's Riker on a pillow covered in a dog pillowcase.
that's one
Okay.
spoiled doggy.
I like the Pac-Man. Is that like a Pac-Man little arcade in the corner there?
Oh yeah, that's all.
Cool.
That's Riker's arcade that he plays on.
That's Riker's video games. Yeah.
There's a couple comments so Ruben kind of touched on Cake is Eternal was like posing the question, is it a love story or Stockholm syndrome?
I think that's just being it's a love story.
It's a bit jaded. You think? I love that Ian loves the love story aspect of this. I think you can have both. I think it could be both. I think that like, yes, it's like a Beauty and the Beast kind of type of
Well, he
idea.
chooses to stay, right? He has the
Yeah,
option
yeah.
at the end.
Yeah.
And,
He could leave her, yeah.
Right.
So,
Like-
But when you have
like a
Stockholm
prisoner.
syndrome, but when you have
Like a prisoner choosing to stay with his captive.
when you have
He's like, fuck it,
Stockholm-
I'm gonna die either way. I might as well die with the hot chick next to me. That's
But when-
basically it's logic.
he does have that logic. It's true. It's kind of
Hashtag
kind
60s
of a
for the
weird
win.
logic.
oh, you're all so jaded. You're so jaded.
I think this episode was like Shades of Grey, personally.
Well, I think that it's interesting. Like they leave it kind of vague enough for you to kind of play around with it, right? Like you can kind of take it whichever way.
There's a lot. Yeah, I like that. I like when
I'm an old romantic at heart, so I'll take the love story over it.
I just can't get to the romance because just Zefram was such a piece of wood to me,
Mm.
and I don't know if that was like the direction or just or whatnot. But like he
Oh,
was
you
just
mean
like
he seems
Oh,
like
I think it was.
he doesn't emote. He's just like,
Yeah.
yeah, Kirk. I don't know
Yeah.
if I could love a woman or an alien.
No, I
Oh,
think it's the
yeah.
direction. It's the direction because he is a good actor.
Right.
Yeah, so it's.
So
I think
it's
it had
that's
to
Glenn
be.
by the way, that's Glenn Corbett, and we mentioned Eleanor Donahue earlier.
Yeah,
This episode was directed by Ralph Senensky, and it was written as the Gene L. Kuhn episode, and I like his work whenever he writes. So
It's probably one of his last ones, though, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah, actually, let me see. Let's pull him up
And then
real
does
quick.
she have that voice at the end for all time? Like, because that's gonna
what
get annoying.
the echoey voice.
Hey, Zefram, wanna go have a picnic? Just turn that off.
You don't want to see her pissed off, do you? Really?
Yeah, right? I mean, she's still got a little bit of power. You know what I mean? It's not all gone yet.
That's when the house really shakes.
Father, this is smack dab in the middle of his writing credits, because he also
Who wrote this episode?
I guess he. Oh no, maybe just by him. It might be one of the last, but he also helps out, I guess, on a bunch, which is A Piece of the Action, Bread and Circuses, Spock's Brains, Spectre of the Gun, and wink of an eye and let that be your
Spock's
last
brain.
bottle.
He
Well, a lot
he-
of those are scripts he wrote early,
okay.
and then 'cause
Okay,
he,
so-
he leaves the show around this time when this would have
Yeah,
been in
and so
production.
I guess they keep using his work, but
So-
it'll have other writers on it.
So like he co-wrote all those, or he just came up with the story for all those?
Probably
like,
came up with the story or wrote many of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I'd have to dive deeper to know. I'm sorry, I don't have
Interesting.
that knowledge just off. But no, who would is Larry Nemechek.
Yeah. Larry. Sorry.
Let's see here. We have Cochrane thought that the shuttlecraft was cool. He did. It wasn't it was the Edison, right, in this episode?
No, it was
Galileo.
the Galileo.
It was the Galileo?
Galileo, yeah.
Where did I get the Edison from? That's weird. Like, I genuinely thought that's what it was called. So yes, he did like the Galileo. Let's see here. She was dying the whole time, delirious. That makes sense. Yeah, in hindsight, it makes sense. Don't judge people's personalities when they have a fever. True. Jill, I mean, get that man a drink. Good points. I don't like this version of
Cock. But it's nice and tight, man.
What was I actually liked seeing him. I like his continuity in hindsight. Now that we've had like more about Zefram Cochrane in First Contact and Enterprise, but I guess the numbers probably won't line up anymore, right? Because they say he died 150 years before. How long before does Enterprise take place? Only 100 years, right?
Does he show up on Enterprise?
No, he only in a flashback. He's already
Yeah.
gone.
It's,
on
that's
it's,
right.
Enterprise.
it's actually on Enterprise. It's a video of a speech
then
that he
it-
did. He's
Yeah.
not actually as a
Gotcha.
person.
Yeah, in season 2 of Enterprise, they actually mention Zefram Cochrane when they find that dead human body in the TARDIS thing that's bigger on the inside.
Yeah.
The Tholians are after. And Archer says, like, maybe this is Zefram Cochrane. Like, no one found his body. No one knows where he ended up. Maybe this is him.
I do
remember
like the
that
whole
now.
story of like he wanted to die in space,
Mm.
and launched himself into space, and then the companion did what it did. But I do kind of like that whole idea of like the space engineer or engine guy who's like, okay, I'm almost dead. I want to die in space. So
I'm going to do it on
launches
my
himself.
terms. Yeah, do it on my
Yeah,
terms,
yeah.
and that's it. Yeah.
I can see the guy from First Contact be. It's the same guy who tried to like run away after they told him like, oh, you're gonna be like this big famous inspiration in the future, and then he
Yeah.
tries to like run away, and they have to go stun him and drag his ass back. Like I can see that being him here, where he's like tired of being famous, and he's old and doesn't have much time left, and he's just like, you know what, screw it, I'm going into space one last time.
I don't want to be a statue. So
Yeah, exactly.
no, but for me personally, I prefer the older version of Dr. Cochrane. I found this guy to be like, I don't know.
Well,
Something-
oddly, it's the same person because he was
Yeah.
resurrected and rejuvenated.
Right.
So it's interesting.
And he's
So
shorter now. Like
He's shorter. He's shorter.
he's a tall dude. When
Yeah.
First Contact.
We'll make you younger, but we'll take a couple of inches off the height.
It's like the Telosians didn't. It's like the Telosians didn't quite know how to reconstruct Vina. Maybe the companion didn't quite know how to reconstruct Cochrane either. But yeah, that's a good point. One of my favorite. Oh, by the way, it is true. Real quick, they were making the commissioner serve the coffee, which I thought was like, okay, yeah.
I wonder if their first night together, she was like, perhaps I didn't reconstruct you exactly right. Whoop.
Oh my god.
Screw Viagra.
Magic finger.
Let's
One of
make
my
it curve just a little bit right here.
a line I had no memory of, and I'm surprised it's not used more often in like Star Trek promo material and like just like inspirational like cuts and things like that, was we're on 1,000 planets and spreading out. We cross fantastic distances and everything's alive, Cochrane. Life everywhere. We estimate there are millions of planets with intelligent life. We haven't begun to map them. Interesting. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's like a great Star Trek like line. That was like so awesome. I had to tweet about it. Did you guys remember that? Like, what do you guys think about like Kirk in this episode in particular and that line? And he also has a love speech later as well.
I actually think one of the best lines is "You've been used to being a soldier so long. Why not be a diplomat?"
McCoy, that well, he says you've also been trained. I like that.
Yeah.
It establishes you've also been trained as a diplomat. Which
Diplomat, you use it. Yeah.
Very cool. Very very cool moment as well.
Yeah.
I like the ending when they're like, "What about the war that she was going to stop?"
We'll find it. Yeah,
Somebody will stop it.
Well, at least he turned around and said, "We'll find another woman that will stop the war." He did say another woman.
And get the coffee.
Yeah, I've just stopped the war, but here's coffee. Yeah.
Here's coffee.
I'm surprised that like they're so nonchalant about this war, and like it's kind of like oh, it's not an urgency at all. She was the only one who had like a sense of urgency about it.
Right.
Was the commissioner. It was really weird.
To be honest, that final line by Kirk seemed a little bit off to me and off-putting, because I'm like, maybe what she was working on was like too important to find somebody else. Like they can't like it wasn't cool to me. Like they could just replace somebody just like that. I don't know. Maybe it's my modern sensibilities kicking in, but
it is.
I don't know.
It is. It's fine.
Yeah.
I wondered about that too, and I had a little bit like I admit like I was like that like the character of Hedford, I think she deserved more, like it's what Father said, like there should have been a little bit more development for her. But then I guess we would have been mad that she dies and that she's basically an avatar for the companion. What did you guys think of that like whole concept actually? Like, she was gonna die anyways, so the companion basically my take is that the companion decides, oh well, I can inhabit this body, and somehow she's alive as both of them. It's a really weird thing.
I mean, I think it could have been easy to add to her just a little touch of the fact that she does have this disease and she's facing it alone. She has no lover. She has no. She
even says something along the lines of like, how can he didn't like before she had been converted when she was dying, like in her delirium, she said something about like I've never been in love or something like, or I've never had
she
love of
basically she was saying she was a career woman. She hadn't put all that forward, and and she couldn't understand why he was spurning the love that was obvious to everybody else except him.
It's true Sarek and Vedic Baral could not be replaced in their negotiations, so Commissioner Hedford should have also had a little bit of that. It would have been nice if since the companion, can leave for a little while, if she in fact like just it would have been a nice, to what Marcelo was saying, if the companion allowed the commissioner to have that one last mission. Like let's say barring any unfortunate circumstances, like she could go for like 48 hours off world before her energy before her dependency on the planet dissipates. So it would have been cool if like that character got to go and do the diplomacy and then come back and retire.
She doesn't have much agency.
And that would have been an interesting ending, to have them say, instead of, hey, let's just live on this rock until we die, let Cochrane, I'm going to go see the galaxy I never got to see one last time. I'm going to go do this one mission one last time and experience being human. And then they, instead of staying on the planet to die, they go off to kind of complete the lives of these people.
That would be cool. I think that she deserved to be written better. I thought that she was pretty thin, to the point of having no character development, other than the fact that she was a chancellor, she was an ambassador, and she was dying. I thought if she would have been written better, we would have felt more for her as a character in general, at least in my opinion.
I think it's a product. I think with that bit, I think it's a product of the time. I don't think they knew how to write good backstories or good characters for women.
Right. No, especially, it wasn't a focus in general too, especially for like side characters and temporary guest characters for an episode.
Yeah.
You kind of just fed people what they needed to know, and that was it.
And I mean, like, there is some thought put into it. Like, we're gonna have this woman be like this big, high profile commissioner negotiating a peace treaty. Like, if you think about just as recently as the late '60s, there were no women in our real world like negotiating peace treaties. So that was a little, I guess, progress in that respect. But just in her function in the story, like she doesn't really have much agency in choosing like what happens to her. It's just like everything else, like the companion decides for her, and then there's some indication that maybe she would like a simple life, just living on this planet. Grow, what kind of tree does he say he's gonna grow? Like some
Fig tree.
fig, okay, like growing some fig trees with her man. Maybe that's all that she wants. She wants to like leave the career behind. But they barely scratch the surface of that. So it's just like, is this even what she would have chose, or this is like, okay, well, your option was like die or merge with this energy being, and you actually don't get a choice. We're deciding for you. So I hope you
And
like
not
it.
only that, but the choice is being forced on you by the energy being that's causing you to die in the first place. Because if not, you'd be at the Enterprise and get your little pills or whatever.
I think the companion doesn't understand that because it has no emotions until it actually merges with her. So additionally it's an odder. It's cool. It's very good. It's very good sci-fi when I think about it, because it does pose a lot of interesting questions, like the nature for everything's in this episode, from consent to like Stockholm syndrome to like can an alien be held responsible for something it doesn't know it's doing. Like that's very very interesting stuff, because they do just decide like there is no, as far as Kirk and company are concerned, everything's wrapped up in a nice little bow with the resolution, and there's no punishment needed or anything. Like from their observations, it's like everything's good. Yeah, have a great life. See you later. Bye. and that's it.
But I did particularly enjoy the that speech that Kirk has with the ball of gas traveler
Companion, yeah.
Thank you, the companion, where he tries to explain to the companion what love is. That whole spiel that he goes on is fantastic.
Would Picard and crew have known from historical records and studying in Starfleet Academy the ultimate fate of Zefram Cochrane? And if that's the case, I guess they kept it from him, obviously, to keep the timeline intact.
Well, it did say, and it don't tell anybody. They didn't
Right.
they? They did right near the end. He said, "Don't tell anybody." So obviously they were true to their word, and they didn't. Kirk, Spock, and McCoy didn't tell anybody, or they didn't put it down on record that Cochrane was there on that planet.
Right.
The other thing-
Bones died. A crazy old man going, "I saw Zefram. He's on a rock with a space woman taken over by a jelly bean."
Sure you did, Grandpa. Sure you did.
Okay, Grandpa.
It's okay. I was back in bed.
That's beam me. Don't beam me anywhere.
The other thing that I found quite odd is that when Kirk and crew initially get to the island, they don't really
I like that you call it an island, because it is that maroon vibe, but it's like
sorry.
Yeah, no, it's like
when-
an asteroid, right, or something they say.
Yeah, when Kirk and crew get down to the planet, they don't initially realize that when Cochrane introduces himself, they don't initially put two and two together that guy is Zefram Cochrane. To me, that was like, come on, guys, wouldn't you be able to recognize that this is Zefram Cochrane, the creator of warp drive? Shouldn't they have
Right.
pictures of him on file somewhere?
They admit that he's. I think Zefram Cochrane. I think it's the same way that like maybe any Navy captain would know like the person who invented like the jet engine or whatever, but not necessarily. It's not someone you think about every day unless you're like
Right.
a jet engine engineer, or something like that. Like so Scotty might have if Scotty were there, he may have been like, that's Zefram Cochrane.
They were like, he looks familiar.
They
which is
did
funny
say he
because
looks familiar.
He doesn't look like how he does in the other times we see him in
Yeah,
First
yeah.
Contact and Enterprise. But I guess
sure-
this is what he looked like when he was younger.
What were you gonna say, Robbie?
I'm sure that Archer says in one Enterprise episode that they learn about Zefram Cochrane. They learned about Zefram Cochrane at the academy.
Right. But that's a different point. Like this is like 100, like over 100 years after that. I'm
Yeah.
sure they learned about him because they all knew who he was, but I don't think that he'd be top of mind. Like I don't know what the inventor of, like,
Well, if
Right,
whatever it
you
looks like
you go
per
somewhere
se.
and there's like this dude called
Sailing
Ford.
ship.
He's like,
Yeah.
"Hi, I'm Ford," and you're like, "Oh, this is Ford," and then you're like, "Yeah, I'm actually like Henry Ford. I invented all the cars that
It
y'all
is
drive."
actually like that. That's a
And
good
it'd be like,
Dr. Jones?
"Oh, that dude."
Yeah,
Or
no,
that
no,
Ford, not
no,
Harrison Ford from Air Force
yeah.
One.
I do acknowledge that. I do acknowledge that I'm being a little picky with this episode, but I'm like, the second he introduces himself, I'm like, holy shit, that's,
Oh, that's funny, but that's good that your reaction was that. That's cool. When I first saw this, like back in the day, like I was like, okay, cool, whatever, nice little factoid. That guy invented warp. Like that's
Yeah.
Space warp.
Yeah, I think that the only reason that I knew who that was is because I had already watched First Contact and well, I'm going through Enterprise right now, so
I mean, I kind of went through a similar thing at first because I was like, dude, this is like, hey, that guy kind of looks like Paul McCartney. And then you walk up to him and he goes, yeah, hey, my name's McCartney. You're like, but that's
What,
something
Paul
like
McCartney?
what you were saying, Sahel, that like, how many people would actually know what Zefram Cochrane looked like? Like, would Kirk really know? Like, do they look at pictures of Zefram Cochrane? I don't think maybe
not every
Scotty
day.
would.
Like, yeah,
Right, Scotty
yeah.
would, because Scotty,
Scotty's got a portrait of him hanging
Right.
in his quarters, and he lights a
Right.
candle every night, and he prays.
he gazes at
the-
those terrifying blue eyes. every day.
No, but doesn't everyone at the academy have to take like intro to warp drive according to Trip?
Right, but if you're
from-
on it,
Well, I
Right.
think
you're
it's
on a
it's warp theory, isn't it? It's
But
warp
how much-
theory
Yeah,
and
thank
stuff.
you.
How much time do they spend talking about Cochrane versus the actual warp theories? You know what I mean?
yeah.
Because
Like when
there's
you're
the bit
teaching
is
somebody about radio, you don't talk about.
it's like First Contact, because they were saying, and Geordie's saying, "Oh yeah, we learn all this at school when I'm there," and he's actually quite surprised
Right.
that all that's learned.
Yeah, maybe I'm
In
just
fact, the
maybe
first chapter is called Zefram Cochrane.
No, I
That's
think
right.
I can see what you're saying, but you have a different perspective also, because Zefram Cochrane, means something different if you've seen him in First Contact and later on Enterprise. So I get what you're saying 100%.
Yeah.
Like, but
Yeah.
but I mean McCoy definitely, like, he would probably know, like, a famous doctor more, like, and I think it's interesting.
maybe I was just expecting too much.
It's okay to expect too much from Star Trek, but hello to Bond Jadranger
Jedi
29.
Ranger.
Jedi Ranger.
I like
Jaranger.
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 Sorry.
Deranger chains. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Star Wars D&D James Bond fan.
That's awesome. Hello and welcome. I'm sorry I butchered your handle. I apologize.
How to make somebody feel welcome straight away. Let's mispronounce what they're called.
One of my favorite moments in the episode was when the companion is inhabiting Nancy's body, and she puts the veil up over to see through it, and she sees him like she would have, like what we were seeing before with the
Jelly bean vision.
jelly bean effect or whatever. And I found out that was a complete accident. That was not like intentional at all. Like there was I guess they didn't know what the effect was going to look like, maybe, or or whatnot, and it just like kind of lined up perfectly. The director on Memory Alpha, it says that the director said it was a complete accident and it just worked out. He was actually referencing a previous scene in another show that he directed where he put like the character having a veil, like shrouding, the scene in a veil. So I thought that was very, very cool.
It was very childlike when she did that. It was very like this, like she wanted to discover what that would be like. It was cool.
Right.
Mm.
It was less
Getting
on
used to her
note.
new eyes.
And
Can we all
Yeah, go ahead.
agree that they should have went George Lucas style and James Cromwell should have been digitally inserted.
You just triggered father. No, I'm just kidding.
Look at him. He's like,
George Lucas should have retired after 1983 and never made anything again the rest of his life.
Amen. Reach out, Valerie.
George.
I think it would have been interesting to see a take like that, but I like the actor, and I can buy that when he was younger he looked like that. You know what I mean? Like I could totally buy that it's the same. It's not a too far of a stretch of the imagination to imagine that the years were not.
One of the warp drive tests, some spatial anomaly stretched him out a bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Pulled his nose out a little, stretched his face. Whatever.
It was obviously he was a good looking guy. Then it was all the booze that he kept drinking after.
There you go. That's what it was.
And also the like radiation from the warp engines he was making, like that probably like aged him a little bit.
And
There
from
you
his jelly bean reach arounds that he was getting when she would like get on top of him, and he's like, "Oh yeah, girl."
What the heck? This is
Wow.
Can you imagine what it's going? Can you imagine what it's going to be like when obviously after that when she goes, "Do you know Ooby Dooby?"
Oh my god.
I hope Discovery has an episode where they go back and there's an alien half jelly bean alien baby.
Yeah, I thought
it should be Lower Decks actually that does it.
Falls in love with Boimler.
Yeah, I thought you said like this was a wholesome show.
Oh my gosh, it is a wholesome show, I promise. Actually, that's not a bad idea that it tries to bond with Boimler. Like the
Oh dear.
Lover.
Okay, I feel like when we get to this point we've exhausted everything we have to say about this episode. I
wrote down a couple of lines of dialogue.
I do.
Okay, cool.
I like when Spock says, "The alien gave me a quaint, old-fashioned electrical shock of respectable voltage." I'll save my next comment for the next Starfleet Boy After Dark.
There's only two people in Star Trek that could actually say that. One's Spock, and the other one's probably Data.
Spock is in his quarters like,
we will have to
logical, quite logical.
I was like,
I like the line that Uhura says, "It's a big galaxy, Mr. Scott."
Yeah, that was cool. We didn't talk enough about I've noticed Scotty's been, Scotty's left in charge a lot, and I like those scenes between he and Uhura. We got Sulu back, but then we're missing Chekhov this episode, so that was.
But he doesn't.
What?
Well, he comes in. When does he come in season 2? Because I thought he was there from the start as far as season 2, but he's not apparently.
Well, it depends on if you're watching them in production order or air date order. But in air date order, which is what they have on Netflix and Paramount Plus, they start season 2 with a mock time, and Chekhov is in that episode. I think we didn't need George and Walter on set on the same episodes a lot of times. So I think there's we do see both of them in some of the same episodes, but a lot of times it's just one or the other.
In your opinion, what's the best way to watch them when I eventually have to do it again because I'm going to review everything on my YouTube channel? So what's the best way to watch them?
I mean, there's so little continuity in the original series that they were like originally designed to be shown out of order. It doesn't really matter. I have a personal preference of production order, but if you have like an audience that's following along, honestly, it's probably easier to do air date order.
Yeah, that's what I usually do. I just want some clarification on that because I found that out the other day. I'm like, what the hell what order am I going to do this in?
Production order would probably make more sense from a visual perspective. Like you wouldn't see like Chekhov go from his natural hair to a wig and then back. Like there's like
okay. He wore a wig. Wait a minute.
Yeah,
he wore a wig. Yeah, they did it. Dave, the Monkees was very big at the time. They tried to sort of buy in on that one, and they gave him like a Davy Jones wig, and so he had a wig for a while.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
And then his hair grew out, I guess. and
Who
so
thought
then
that was a
they
good
just-
idea?
And then he had the comb over. He had the comb
Yeah.
The
over.
wig,
sort
the
of
wig
bit
bonded with his skull.
there.
That's very funny to a person who wears a wig.
Well, you know, back then, like the Wizard of Oz days, when they were using that makeup they used on like the Tin Man.
Oh, the
was, like, toxic or
mineral
whatever.
spirits or something.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something
Didn't
like
they?
that.
Yeah,
it's
didn't
like-
they have to? Didn't they have to replace the original actor who played the Tin Man because he was dying of a toxic exposure from the makeup?
No, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Oh
That's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
Is
I
that
remember
right? Oh, wow.
someone in that movie
Yeah.
was allergic to the makeup, or
Yeah, I
or
think it was
they
a
had
Tin
to
Man. Yeah.
they had to change to a different part or something like that. That's like
Yeah,
Moogie in Deep Space Nine. Ishka, they had to replace that actress because she didn't have a good reaction to the makeup.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You say that about the Wizard of Oz. They actually used asbestos as snow. So really, what you can do about
Yeah.
That happened on
Asbestos
Farscape too.
and fiberglass too. They used to use fiberglass as snow.
Fiberglass?
Yeah,
Good
fiberglass,
Lord.
asbestos, all those
I
type
don't
of
know how
things
many of
they
you
use.
watched
God.
Farscape, but there was 2 different actresses who played the blue character,
I've never
and
seen
it was
it.
because
Never seen it, I wouldn't know.
the original actress had issues with
Okay.
crazy
Speaking of
makeup.
makeup, I was sad to learn that even Michael Dorn has had like adverse effects from wearing the Klingon makeup. Apparently,
Oh, okay.
damaged his skin permanently. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
like
Well, he wore the makeup for years, didn't he? I mean,
Yeah.
we're talking,
for 7 years on Next Generation and 4 years on Deep Space Nine.
and then the films as well.
The films,
Yeah.
I would like
if
to
you see him in real life, if you're outside in the sunlight, like you can see it on his head, like this part of his head is like the skin is a slightly different color than the rest because he's all bald now, and
Yeah.
like this part where the forehead would have been glued on is like a slightly different color from the rest of it.
Wow.
I'm a huge fan of the short treks format, and I think it can go further and like explore things like in different eras and stuff like that. I would love to see a Zefram Cochrane and the companion having grown old episode of short treks with James Cromwell reprising his role as Zefram Cochrane, because he would eventually look like that again. And maybe they ride off into the sunset as Ruben had suggested, like
Yeah.
into one more mission out into the galaxy and stuff like that.
We'll
The
go
only
visit
man,
that
that gets taller.
Let's go visit that war-torn society that I
You
left
would-
behind
you-
when I
yeah.
decided.
Yeah. Zefram Cochrane, the only man to get taller the older he gets. Yeah.
Hey, it's
By the
growth
way-
hormones on the planet.
By the way, actually, it's true.
Performance.
By the way, there are apparently men can still have a growth spurt up until age 25. I mean, obviously Zefram Cochrane's older than 25. Even
You
young.
think?
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, you could actually. There are cases where some men can have growth spurts well into their 20s. I wish I was one of those, but I didn't. So I stayed 5'7", and that was enough for me. But
Yeah, I'm
anyways,
5'5". I'm short. Man.
oh, okay.
You're short.
Yeah, when I started school, I was sort of middle of the class. When I left, I was one of the tallest. So
It can
I-
happen. Yeah.
yeah, I left school at 16. So
My
that's-
sister was always taller than me, and then one day I became a little bit taller, so I was very happy about that. And she's younger.
Bragging
than
rights.
that.
Oh,
Any Go ahead, sorry.
I was about to say, I can't remember what the day I ended up. I realised I was taller than my dad. I can't remember that one.
My father is still taller than me. I never surpassed his height, but he's 6, I think. 6. Well, he was. He's gotten shorter because of age. Unlike Zefram Cochrane, who will grow
He gets
taller as he ages.
in the 1,000-year future of Discovery, he's like a giant planet-eating man. Come, Micah.
It's him and the giant Spock from the animated.
He's
series.
fighting Cthulhu from the end of Picard.
It's not the
Godzilla in space.
it's not the BFG, it's the BFC, the Big Friendly Cochrane.
Oh my god.
Cochrane, help!
Wow. All right. So closing thoughts. I'll go first, as is tradition. And we'll go around the room. We'll close off with Robbie. I give this episode an 8. I really enjoyed it. I really loved some of the scenes. Some of the concepts could have been fleshed out more. I agree with you guys from this conversation, like especially with Nancy's character. But overall, it was a good solid episode of the original series, and I always like these connective threads, even though there's incongruities, I guess, but or possible incongruities. It kind of works on the whole. So yeah, I'm looking forward to next week, Journey to Babel. So this was a good warm up to that. Fathery, what do you say?
Like I said, like this episode is not bad, but I feel like it is missing something. So we're giving ratings, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I will rate this one 5 jelly bean aliens out of 10.
Dadmiral. By the way,
I'll
your uniform arrived.
It did. I will be showing. It'll be debuting on Tuesday for Trek Tuesday.
Very, very cool.
Yeah, it's being shown before it gets sent back to be altered.
Oh, gotcha.
Because unfortunately, because of my losing weight, I've shrunk the uniform, so it's I'm sending it back. I've cheated, and it looks like it's fitted and everything else. But yeah, that's going to be debuting on Tuesday.
In fashion, we do that. We get away with it by putting like clips on the garment where you don't see. So like on the back, we'll like.
That's exactly what I've done.
Yeah, it's an age-old technique.
Yeah, I've got.
Very well
You wouldn't have seen it, but I had 3 bulldog clips, one round the collar and down there. So yeah,
Cool.
For me, I will take it. I'm taking the old romantic. I'm giving it 8 out of 10.
Nice.
And I like it because to me it's a love story. You jaded ones can say Stockholm syndrome all you like. I'm going to say it's a love story. I enjoyed it, but I'm with you. It would be really nice to go back to see how their life was, and I think it does lend itself to a short trek. And I would really like to see that as well, just to see what happened to the couple. Whether he just said, "Oh, screw you, I'm going," and you can die on your own, all that type of thing, whatever. But it would be nice, and it would be nice to have a happy ever after, since we don't get them very often.
Speaking of which,
they should tie into that couple from the TNG episode. They were living by themselves.
Oh, Kevin.
Do you know? Yeah, I was while we were talking. I actually did think of that episode as well. But yeah,
Kevin and
good
Rashawn
tea,
Uxbridge.
nice house.
Ian, one more thing on the romantic note. The music was very good and romantic.
Yeah.
I thought that it complemented it well.
It lent itself. I think it was a compliment to it. And I do like this one. And as I said, I watched it last night and today, and watching it both. I welled up on the same point both times.
That's
which
awesome.
is really, really odd, but I'm just a silly old sod, and I do well up at certain things, and this was the one episode that I do.
We welcome hopeless romantics on Starfleet Boy, so be your silly old self. Martian, what do you give it?
I give it a 5. I guess it's not a bad episode. It's got a lot of interesting ideas in it.
It certainly inspired many great funny ideas from you. the giant Zefram Cochrane. I feel like that should be the sequel to the other short tracks.
So yeah, 5 is not. I mean, I know I make a lot of the jaded jokes. So obviously, I'm just looking at it that way. But I do appreciate what it's trying to be, even if it is goofy '60s kind of clumsy way of doing it. But I can't fault it for that because that's a product of its time. So yeah, I give it a 5.
Excellent. Marcelo, we give a rating 1 out of 10. I should have said that since it's your first time. But you probably gleaned it. So.
I'll give it a 6. There are certain things about the story that really irk me and kind of held me back from really enjoying it. But actually sitting here and watching the panel talk about it. I think that I expected too much from the episode. But it was a fun first time watch for me.
That's great. Mr. EGT.
Can I go on just a small tangent?
Of course. Yes.
So when you were talking about women and getting into more roles in society, I had a wee thought. Not anything amazing, but just I think Star Trek could really lend itself well to a City on the Edge of Forever style episode where Kirk or even Pike meets Emily Davison, who was obviously a woman suffragette, and she sacrificed herself. She was at the horse racing, and she
Grand National. It's Grand National.
Yeah. And it's not known if she did it on purpose, but she walked in front of the horse and she was killed. I think it would be really cool if Kirk or Pike in Strange New Worlds, it's not going to happen, but if Pike could kind of sympathize with her and maybe save her from that fate. It's very similar to City on the Edge of Forever.
That's very cool. I wonder if there was any connective or inspiration drawn from her. That's interesting. It would also be fun to have a Pike parallel to a Kirk story. Like that might be a different thing.
Yeah, I just hope we don't see Kirk in Strange New Worlds at all. I don't want to see him.
Yeah, if they do that, they need to do it like the very end of the last episode.
No, I don't mean
I don't
sorry.
I
mean just like a parallel. I don't mean having Kirk in the episode. I just meant like an interesting parallel story that they both experience. Like that, his predecessor experienced this one with Emily Davidson. Did you say?
Emily Davison, yeah.
That's cool. I didn't know about her. I'm gonna go read up about Emily Davison. That's a neat story. And also, I just see Pike riding horses more. I guess they mentioned that in and stuff like that. So
that was in going back to the cage. You had the
Cage.
the Tango or Mango or whatever its name was.
Yeah, was it Mango? That's cool. I
think it was Tango.
That was a cool Lark EGT. Thank you for sharing that. Do you have any do you have any closing thoughts on this episode? And
I think it was serviceable. I think I agree with Favre, Marcel, and Ruben the most. I won't give it a 5 just because I think I gave Cat's Paw a 4, and that's a bit too close for comfort. I'll give it a 6.
Nice. Very cool. Well, it's wonderful having you guys on here to talk about this episode. I look forward to next week for Journey to Babel, where we'll meet Sarek and Amanda for the first time, but not really the first time. Because
great episode.
In Star Trek Discovery.
One of the best episodes of all Star Trek, and one of the most important. It does a lot of like world building for a lot of the stuff that comes later.
There was an interesting factoid in the wiki for this episode where Hedford, the commissioner woman, she plays the daughter on Father Knows Best, and the mother on that show is Amanda in next week's episode.
Oh,
cool.
Yeah,
that is very cool.
That was a funny little tidbit that was in the wiki.
Good. Everyone go check out Earl Grey Trekkie on YouTube and on Twitter. EGT. And straight away after this, we're recording our next Doctor Who episode, which is School Reunion, which will premiere tomorrow. And then tomorrow on Earl Grey Trekkie's channel, we're going to watch Batman Returns, which I'm very excited about.
My favorite.
Is it your favorite? That's cool.
It's my favorite Batman movie ever.
You're welcome
Except
to
for The
join
Dark
us.
Knight.
Oh, you're welcome to join, Ruben.
What time do you do
It's
that?
a watch along. We do it at 3 Eastern, right, Robbie?
Yeah, 3 Eastern.
Okay. I'll try to let you know as early as possible if I can be on.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I might pre-watch it.
Just the pussy I've been looking for.
Oh, you could be the Penguin.
I love that movie. That movie has so many deliciously awesome quotes. I know people hate it, but I love it.
Actually,
love that
Ruben's
movie, yeah.
nickname, I forgot about this. We used to call you the Penguin in high school, but it was for a different reason.
I was
It
from Penguonia.
Yeah, it was a different reason, not because of Batman or Batman Returns, but yeah, your nickname. He was our Penguin, and I was a robot. But that's a long story. Anyways, so please subscribe to Earl Grey Trekkie and check it out. Marcelo Inestroza. Did I say your last name correctly?
Yeah, you're one of the few people that hasn't mucked it up the first
Oh
time they
wow.
say it. So
Excellent.
congratulations.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. Marcelo, can you tell everyone where to find you?
Yeah, you can if you like the sound of my voice, you can hear me every week in two different places. I have two podcasts. One of them is Radio 815. It's a podcast dedicated to examining the work and the career of my favorite director, J.J. Abrams. As well, we take a broader look into his Bad Robot universe. We're covering Lost right now. So if you like JJ, you can find me there. But I also have a personal podcast called the Red Wall Podcast, where I talk about things in my life, problems that I have with my family, and I talk with Star Trek personalities like Starfleet Boys. Interview is coming up next year. So
Yeah, I'm like so excited. So I'm never
And-
excited about something
yeah,
that's a
and,
year
uh,
away.
and I also have a YouTube channel called Balloon Head Productions. I review Smallville episodes, I review Doctor Who episodes, and I review old Mission Impossible episodes. So
Very, very cool.
Is that the 60s Mission Impossible, Marcelo? Is that
Yeah.
those ones? Is
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
yeah, it's a 60s Mission Impossible. I actually have to get back on that because I've been so preoccupied with my two podcasts and this little show called Starfleet Boy After Dark that I just got invited to do on a week-to-week basis. So I'm trying to get back into the rhythm of doing videos, but I will update those. I'll do more videos very, very shortly. So
Excellent. Thank you. Ruben can be found at Ruben Writes, Ruben-Writes.com.
Yes, Ruben-Writes.com, popaxiom.com, rumorg.com. I should have an interview coming out soon with Kayla Stanton, who starred in an indie horror movie called Amber's Descent.
Ooh.
That'll be on
Amber's Descent.
Rumorg. And I think that's it.
We can also be found on Starfleet Boy After Dark. We're glad you've been coming on more often. We love having you on, and also on these original series discussions. It's been fun having you on these.
It's been
too.
fun. I haven't watched TOS in such a long time that I've been, even if I'm not going to be on, I try to watch the episode just to be like, let me just rewatch TOS again because it's been. I mean, I watch TNG and DS9 and Voyager obsessively, so it's good to go back to the original.
We have Dadmiral, aka Trek Cat, aka Ian, who is quite a prolific cosplayer, builder, YouTuber. Check him out on Trek Cat on his YouTube. What's going on the YouTube and all? What's going on in your world most recently that you have to promote?
Well, the one bit is obviously the build. The next build, I'm still not quite sure. It's either it's Excelsior, but it's whether it's the Excelsior or it's the Enterprise B.
The variant.
So
EV
I'm
variant,
not quite sure. That's that one. Tomorrow I am guesting with Trek on the Tube, doing a
you're on-
podcast.
are you on
Yeah,
Trek-
with it's going to
Trek
be
Chat?
me. Yeah, it's going to be Trek Chat with Trek on the Tube and Trek Lad. So
Oh,
it's going to
very
be
cool.
the three of us on that.
Very cool.
I'm
I
doing
just
that.
did a fun one with him too. I love that Trek Chat. It's very fun.
Yeah, this will be my first. So, and also, Dan Decker, the Commodore, has asked me to do one of his
Bad
bourbon,
choices and
bourbon and bad choices,
bourbon and bad
podcast
choices.
as
Very
well.
cool.
So that's coming in the future. As I said, a few builds, and hopefully with cons coming up, you'll start seeing me a bit more in cosplay
Excellent.
as well. So yeah, that's hence the beard for the Dadmiral bit at the moment. So we'll see, and yeah, lots of things are starting to happen. So it's
Very,
quite
very
interesting.
You
But
know,
I do want to say one thing to you, though, Starfleet Boy. How is it you can get Marcelo's name right, but you can't say Jedi Ranger?
I'm so sorry, Jedi Ranger. What was
people
I
are not
saying?
perfect.
Speaking of Jedi Masters or Jedi Rangers, we have Tex Trek Fathery Well, actually, he's more of a captain than a Jedi
I am?
master. Yeah, I think so. I see you more as a captain. The captain of the USS Texas, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, yeah, it's not gonna be a Jedi anything because like I don't even like say the name of that other Star franchise on Text Trek.
So Tech Treks just dropped yesterday the part 2 to the season 3 Star Trek Deep Space Nine discussion series that he's doing with Dave, which is really fun to watch because Dave is a first time DS9er and Father has seen it for the 47th time, and I just have to say that last night was pure gold because of Dave's take on Enabrantane and Garrick had me in stitches. I was like really enjoying that, and it's cool to see him, some of the things he's naive about because he's never seen it before, and his takes are really awesome. So go check out that discussion. What else is going on Text Trek, Fathery?
Well, next week we are taking a little break from Deep Space Nine, and Friday we'll actually be doing a live stream to discuss Babylon 5 Season 3, the second best space station TV show. And the week after that, we will be doing a live stream podcast episode on Friday, June 4th, to discuss the Woman in Motion documentary premiering here in the States on Paramount Plus or not premiering, but releasing on Paramount Plus on June 3rd. So it'll come out on the Thursday, then the next day on the Friday, we will cover it on Text Trek. And then at some point we'll get back to DS9 and do season 4 and get to have Worf and the Klingons and all that stuff. And Dave can see it for the first time and react to it.
Yeah, it's going to be very cool. Thank you so much, audience, for joining us. We really appreciated you being here with us. Get that man a drink. Bond, Jedi Ranger 29, Jace, Cake is Eternal, and Captain RGD, who are some of the ones I saw in there. And Geek and Reveal was here. I didn't see. Hey, Geek, what's up? So thanks for joining us in the chat. Hope you guys join us next week for Journey to Babel. Live long and prosper, and we will see you next